Folks, the forest is cold, but just because it's a cold forest and it's winter doesn't mean that there aren't wood elves to defend it. These are proud folks of the wood, and they will not allow their home to be invaded, regardless of whether it's the trees in Athel lore or without. Okay, I made that up. It's probably not lore, but hey, whatever. I'm sticking to it. It works out in my head. Wood elves say, stay out of my forest, the same way Shrek says, stay out of my swamp. So this is going to be a Wood Elves versus Chaos match, and I want to kind of show you what's going on. There was a couple of Glade Riders over here. I believe one of them has Hagbane tips. No? Okay, never mind. I'm just crazy. Neither one of those had Hagbane tips, but for the Wood Elf army, there's going to be a mix of Eternal Guard and Treekin. There is one Wildwood Ranger. Now remember, that unit gets some extra, I believe it's melee, yeah, bonus versus large and charge defense versus large when they are in the woods. And then there's going to be a Wild Rider here, and then a Waywatcher on the far flank, another Waywatcher in the back. And the Wood Elves are going to be led today by the Glady on her Eagle. And as for the Forces of Chaos, it's going to be an interesting composition, one that I actually kind of like here for the Wood Elves. There are plenty of Marauders that just have shields, and they can be a good unit to rush against Wood Elves. There are a couple of Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, which are obviously good at countering what few large units the Wood Elves can bring, plus they have speed. And I believe they have some missile resistance. If I remember right, it may not be anything super significant. Let's check that real quick. But I'm quite certain that they have, 25%, so it's not bad. Makes them a unit that would be somewhat well suited to chasing things down. Now, interestingly enough, there's a Weird Spawn and a Demon Spew. Both of these units ought to be pretty good at ripping through a lot of Wood Elf units, so pretty interesting combination there. And then, of course, we have the Everchicken again, with big missile resistance. We've seen him several battles in a row at this point, so I guess it's week of the Everchicken. There are 5 Marauder Horsemen with Javelins, so that's going to be a significant force to try and also help deal with archers. So I believe Chaos has come well prepared for a skirmishy Wood Elf build, and honestly, they should do fine up against most Wood Elf builds. Now let's go watch how this plays out as the battle kicks off. There are going to be Waywatchers hidden in a couple of spots. Those Waywatchers, one is way up here on the hill on the far side, and then the Glade Guard over here have a position that are obviously in a somewhat ambush type stance. The Chaos will make the first moves, and the Wood Elves are obviously hoping to kind of hold their position here, knowing that Chaos isn't likely to come with any significant range component. The best range component, in my opinion, that Chaos has is their Marauder Horsemen. Yes, the Hell Cannon's good, and it has long range, but not something that you would typically probably want to bring against Wood Elves. Now we're going to see some Marauder Horsemen moving on at the left flank, get some God Rays coming out of the trees while we're at it. And speaking with the God Rays, here comes the Waywatchers. They will do a lot of damage to Marauder Horsemen, and it's not the only target the Waywatchers want to hit, but it's probably a worthy target because those Marauder Horsemen are a threat to the Waywatchers. They are a significant threat. And on the other flank, the 3 Marauder Horsemen have decided that they're just going to be okay engaging with these Glade Riders. I don't believe that's a good move for the Marauder Horsemen. I think this is a fight they'll lose. They're a little bit blobbed up. I think the Marauder Horsemen would do better to kind of spread out a little and try not to fire from the open into the woods against the Wood Elf Horse Archers. Don't know that that is a great position for them to be in, and I think they would eventually lose that. Now on this flank, there's a little more aggressive chase. The Waywatchers typically get people to chase. That's exactly what Chaos is doing here. They've sent some Marauder Horsemen to chase the Waywatchers, and they've actually caught them. Waywatchers are not great in melee, but they would be a challenge for Marauder Horsemen, especially if they're set to defensive and they can fire like that. And you can see that they do manage to drive off a unit, and now Glady is over here supporting. And while he has missile resistance, Dragon Ogre Shaggoth not going to love getting shot like this while running away. And then as for the mainline engagement, it is about to take place. Chaos is looking to take on the Wood Elves' infantry line, and they should. If they beat it, they've got a fair chance of winning this battle because it's possible the Elves will run out of ammo and not be able to counter everything that's left. It's a legitimate strategy for trying to take down a Wood Elf skirmish. Now this is not a heavy Wood Elf skirmish, but it is a Wood Elf skirmish nonetheless. Glady on her Eagle gives her a pretty safe position here because Chaos hasn't brought anything to challenge air. One of the Dragon Ogres is going to pour in along with the Weird Spawn and the Marauders and the Demon Spew. And Demon Spew will be very good against Eternal Guard. And I mean very good. Now, Sartorial is hanging back a little bit and just trying to support units. He's going to come in here, and there's going to be a... What is that, a transmutation? Yeah, final transmutation. It'll definitely hurt some of the units up in here, especially the lower unit model counts. So Sartorial going to do some good damage, then he'll probably come over here and see if he can terror out these Eternal Guard. But if you look here, there's a Waywatcher here and another one coming from behind, and despite his missile resistance, Waywatchers just do a lot of damage, and they're pretty accurate. So any unit is going to suffer being fired on by Waywatchers, regardless of the level of missile resistance. Now, as far as just the fight here, despite the tankiness of Treekins, they don't do a lot of damage to the type of Chaos stuff they're up against here. They are getting wrecked. The Eternal Guard got wrecked. Chaos is easily turning that fight in their favor. However, over here, Sartorial is in a little bit over his head. He's under some pretty intense fire, and he's fighting the Eagle. He can hold his own, probably, against the Eagle, but he's going to take a lot of damage because of the point-blank fire from the Waywatchers. He's going to disengage from there and move on because his hit points are getting dangerously low. So the Waywatchers are definitely on an appropriate target to try and get rid of Sartorial. Or, conversely, the Waywatchers could have started to start off firing at the Dragon Ogres, and then left Sartorial for everything else. Sartorial, it's so annoying saying his name, Sartorial? Maybe that's Sartorial, we'll try that, I don't know. I'm sure everybody has their own way of saying it. Yeah, a few Wild Riders left, a lot of Marauders here, and remember though that there are some Glade Riders still left on this, oops, sorry, my camera screwed up there. There were some Glade Riders still left over here. They've chased off the Marauder Horsemen. And they can be useful. Glade Riders are a nice secondary late-game mobile force. The Ever Chicken there gets Kentucky fried by the Glady with a nice missile attack there. I believe that's an Arrows of Kurnos. And at this point, though, the main line of Elves is just beaten. And there's 2 Shaggoths and Weird Spawn and Demon Spew and Marauders to deal with. So the Wood Elves are going to find themselves in a bit of a pinch here. They do have some ammo left. There is a Waywatcher out here that's fending off a couple of Marauder Horsemen. Every unit model that dies with ammo, though, is a big loss for these Waywatchers, but still 41 of 45 models in that unit, so they will be able to dish a lot of damage, and they have a lot of ammunition left. Their target should definitely be a Dragon Ogre, and Glady does have Prey of Anathrema, and it's important to use that. And remember that the woods here are going to give the Dragon Ogres a little bit of cover as well. Won't be fantastic, but it will certainly give them some cover. You can see the Eagle's going to go help chase off some units. It should be good at that. I believe the Eagle, yeah, it has Fear. Not quite as good as Terror, but it will help against infantry in the late game. You can see the Branch Wraith is being escorted off the battlefield. This is a smart move by Chaos. Chaos needs to get rid of this unit. The Branch Wraith is too dangerous to leave around. It can heal, and it's a decent melee combatant under certain circumstances. So you can see the kind of spread out Wood Elf regrouped forces here. There's a couple of Eternal Guardsmen, 1 Treekin. There's very little units left in it. 1 pretty healthy Glade Rider here, and another that's down below half health. So that is what they have to work with. One of the Waywatchers is already out of ammunition. The other is still pretty well off here, and you can see that indeed there is a Prey of Anathrema. And here's going to be the Arrows of Kurnos. They did not get stopped by the trees, which is unfortunate for Chaos and fortuitous for the Wood Elves. So Chaos is going to have to turn around and fight this, or else they're going to be picked apart. And that is one thing that they'll need to be careful of here, is that the Eagle can dive bomb and try and pick them apart. They do have some high mass units here with the Weird Spawn and the Dragon Ogres, so they are certainly capable of punishing the Eagle if it comes to the ground. But, obviously, if the Wood Elves play their cards right here, they should be able to kill at least one of the Shaggoths with the ammo that they have left, and probably badly damage another, and then that leaves this fight potentially right up in the air, if that's indeed what happens here. And it certainly looks like it will be the case. This Dragon Ogre has just been routed, but this other one still almost 5,000 hit points. And Glade Lord is no match for Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. And then over here, check it out, still 7 of 12 Weird Spawn units. They don't have a ton of health, but they're unbreakable. And they're going to do very good against any of the regrouped Wood Elf infantry, and honestly would probably even do okay against the Treekin. Not particularly well suited to that, but they probably wouldn't do awful. With those Weird Spawn blobbed up on the Shaggoth, though, it's a bit of a problem in the sense that any missed shots here from the Waywatchers are likely to hit another Chaos unit, albeit they could hit a friendly Wood Elf unit, but at this point I think that this blob is going to be way more advantageous to the Wood Elves than it would to Chaos. Even though Chaos is able to mop up some regrouped Wood Elves, it means that this unit of Waywatchers will be effective with its shots. But look at this Dragon Ogre still very much alive, and really the only answer to that Dragon Ogre at the moment would be, and I'm trying to find it, it's over here, would be the Glady. She's got a significant amount of ammunition left, 15 shots, and her 416 missile damage magic shots should suit her well. That is definitely what this game is going to become at this point. Now, some people, when they see a game get to this point, they'll be like, oh, the Wood Elves they're just chicken. They're kiters, they're cheaters if they don't come down and engage. You know, everyone owns their own game, right? And you can choose to believe that and feel that if you wish, but I tend to disagree with that school of thought. I feel like if you're going to be playing against a faction like the Wood Elves, that you should be well prepared for this eventuality. And if you find yourself in it without the right tools, guess what? You didn't play the match right. And so sometimes that means that you could potentially suffer a defeat. Now, don't be fooled though, this match is not over yet. Look at the amount of health on this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. He's going to take a lot of shots from the Glady, a lot of shots, but she is not going to have what it takes to completely kill him. And then you've got the Demon Spew and the Weird Spawn here, and both of these are massive damage dealers. And a Glady does not have particularly high armor to resist that type of thing. Weird Spawn is unbreakable. The Demon Spew is breakable, and so are these Marauders. So I would think that the strategy here for the Wood Elves should be to try and pick off any Chaos unit that gets stranded on its own. And Chaos here should be trying to hold their forces together, keep tight, keep close, and if that Eagle lands, punish it immediately. But the Dragon Ogre really can't do a whole lot more. I mean, moving around is probably fine. Maybe we cause a miss on the Glady, but probably not. Staying in the woods is definitely the right choice here. Coming out of the woods like this is just going to give these units free shots. There was one volley left on the Waywatchers, and it did tremendous damage when that Dragon Ogre came out of the woods. But right now, Chaos is hoping to maybe swing the balance bar, but the balance bar won't swing much with these Waywatchers out of the way. There could be one other strategy here that the Chaos player is gunning towards, which is get rid of all the ground-based units to force the Eagle to land, but when you split up your army, leave yourself open to this. Attacked in the rear by a unit with Fear, and that is just a Marauder unit, and there is a Glade Rider potentially able to follow up. This is going to cost you, and Chaos cannot afford this price right now. So they will take out the Waywatcher unit, but they will trade one of their Marauders, which was in better health, to do so. And this Waywatcher unit without ammunition was honestly zero threat to this Chaos force. Zero threat. Would have gotten wrecked in a melee engagement. So I feel like losing the Marauder there, not an ideal choice for the Chaos Warriors. They should have stayed close to that Marauder and protected it with the Shaggoth and the Weird Spawn. Not worth taking out this Waywatcher at the moment, in my opinion. Though it was pretty entertaining to see this guy lose his entire upper body. Ouch. It's got a smarts, but I mean, you look at the axe that this Shaggoth is carrying, and that is not really a surprise. So let's check it out. Glady's got 7 ammunition left, and she is going to be firing it pretty much non-stop at the Dragon Ogre. Let's see whether Chaos is able to keep their forces together. Still just the Glade Riders and the Glade Lord that is left at this point. So the Weird Spawn will still be alive, even if the Shaggoth is brought down by the ammunition of the Glady, and I don't believe it will be. I do not believe it will be. No, it's still very much going to be alive. It's got over 1,500 pit points. Yep, see, there's a miss. Only 4 arrows left. See, once again, separation here. You can't rout the Weird Spawn, but you can certainly kill a unit model with a good charge. Ooh, the Blade Riders are going to go ahead and commit a charge to the Demon Spew. As long as they get out of there, that's actually a pretty okay move. Lady needs to be careful, though. Yikes. Yeah, That was almost a big mistake. Looks like the Glade Riders were sent in to protect the Glady there, and probably a good call. Weird spawner down to 6 unit models. And Glady actually did not get too wrecked in that engagement, so it's a pretty fair engagement. Another clean miss from the Glade Lord, and the Glade Riders are going to go ahead and get engaged without the support of Glady. Another clean miss, even on a stationary Shaggoth. Glade Lord will have to work on her aim. So the Glade Riders are going to be routed at this point, and it leaves the Glady in a tough position. She's even going to land right here. But the Shaggoth not able to get on her quickly. Oh, she turned around. Wow. Huge mistake here by the Wood Elves. This eagle cannot stay on the ground. Needs to get up in the air immediately. There is an order away from... Oh, no! It's because the Shaggoth was about to die. Holy clutch. What a clutch by the Glady. And then the Glade Riders came back from routing. Wow. I didn't realize what a good charge the Glady got there on the Shaggoth. I thought for sure that Shaggoth would KO the eagle. He almost did. He took off a lot of hit points because she was well up around 1,500, I think, when that fight got started. Glade Riders, though, no match for Demon Spew or Weird Spawn. Can the Glady pull this off, I guess is going to be the question. And of course she's going to Cycle Charge. Now there's going to be another group of people here too. Cycle Charging, such bull crap. They should remove that from the game. It's so dishonorable. Okay, I get it. None of us like being in that position at the end of a battle where you've got nothing to stop this. It is a part of the game at the moment, whether you like it or not. And I can honestly understand arguments both ways. There's some part of me at one point that was a pretty big advocate of flyer units having to stay grounded for a given number of seconds after a charge. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. And we probably have to think about, whether that's real parity or not anyway. I don't know. But you can end up, and this is another one of those things that when you end up in this situation, you just got to do what you can to deal with it. There's really nothing to keep that Glady on the ground here unless the Weird Spawn can get around her. And it's going to be very difficult. Very difficult. So the best thing to do here would be to just pile up the Weird Spawn and the Forsaken and keep them right on top of each other, not apart. Ew, see, like right there, Glady's going to get a good charge, and it's going to do a lot of damage to these unit models. And before they're able to counterattack, she's going to try and get back up in the air. I love how Start the Rail's dead here on the ground here. He's like, yo, my head's stuck in a tree. You know what? Tzeentch is a lord of change indeed. Anyway, yeah, Glady has got her work cut out for her. Let's check out the hit points here. 551 hit points. Demon Spew or Poison, they just cannot keep the Glady on the ground. She's too fast. It's too fast. I think another argument I've made in the past, I don't know if I'm still a huge fan of it, I have to think about, but the ground speed of a flying unit should probably be considerably lower than the air speed. But I don't think there's any difference. I think they can move at the same speed on the ground that they can in the air. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. And if it is already the case, well, then it is what it is. Chaos is definitely smart to be in the woods. It will help protect to the best that you can against these charges. But, I mean, at this point, it's really just a matter of luck. Who's going to get the hits in and potentially win this battle? Glady is in bad shape. But she manages to KO yet another Weird Spawn, and it brings it down to a one model versus one model fight here. Oh, wow. It's 35 hit points versus 551. I'm pretty sure that the Glade Lord will pull this off, but this was an intensely close fight. And came down to the wire. Very well played by Chaos and the Wood Elves. This was a fun one. It's kind of a tale of two worlds, right? Chaos with the better infantry, with a lot of speedy, anti-large units, and the Wood Elves with cheaper infantry, but powerful range, and units that can skirmish and do a lot of damage from a safe position, like the Glady, Prey of Anathrema, Arrows of Kurnos, things like that that ended up being pretty important here. This was an extremely close battle. Extremely close. And so this was a lot of fun. Thank you, Reptile King, for submitting this one. For some of you who are wondering, where are the 4v4 battles? Where are they at? I have tried for the last 2 nights straight to play 4v4 battles. and it has just been an intense lag fest. If you go to my Discord, I have a suggestions thread. If you all know good ways that we can overcome this, like maybe people can get game groups together during the day to help play 4v4s, and we try and get within the same regions, whatever it's going to take. But right now, I am struggling intensely to get any 4v4 footage. I go join them. I've tried to play them multiple times now and failed to get any footage. I would love it if you all want to try to play some 4v4 and send them to me, and then I will continue to try and do some. I'm probably going to have to find a group of folks here in the US who can play some with me. So if you're a US player in the Eastern, Central, I mean, honestly, even Pacific time zones, and of course Mountain, because it's in between. If you're a US player or Canada, it would probably work out easier. I'm not saying I won't play with people from Europe. I'm certainly going to try it, but I'm assuming most of them are asleep when I play anyway, because it's at 8 p.m., so it would be very, very early in the morning Europe time. I'm thinking like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you're at over there. I guess Aussies might be awake for it as well. Should be like middle of the day, I'm thinking Australia time, or evening? No, it's probably evening. No, sorry, morning. It's probably morning to lunch. I don't know. I haven't looked at the Australia time, and I'm sure Australia has several time zones depending on where people are at, but that connection would also be rough. So I'd like to try first with like some players from like Canada and the US tomorrow and see if that helps fix it. So if you're one of those people, jump in the Discord, watch for a message. I usually jump in around 8 p.m. US Central, so keep an eye on it. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope to see you next time on another Warhammer 2 battle.